Okay, a very good morning, all of you. Uh, in the yesterday's class, we were discussing about the hydrothermal scheduling and hydrothermal energy coordination. So, hydel and thermal, we need to coordinate with these two things. We can't able to use only one generating unit. Either maybe it is a hydel power plant or maybe thermal power plant. Why and the different usages and coordination between them that we discussed yesterday. So, and also we discussed about the scheduling, the long range scheduling and the short range scheduling. So, based upon that, we are going now. We are forwarding to the scheduling of our different sources. So, in order to understand this concept is a full of equations. So, you need to remember the nomenclatures. In order to understand these concepts, you have to remember the nomenclatures, different nomenclature that we discussed yesterday. So based upon that, by keeping in that mind, we will next forward the things. So here, scheduling for the scheduling system, we know that the hydro generation is the major component in our electricity generation, in our power system. So this hydro generation, but the only hydro generation cannot be able to satisfy the load demand. So for that purpose, we need the hydel power generation as well as our thermal power generation. We need to coordinate between these two. We need to coordinate the hydel power generation as well as the thermal power generation. So based upon that, so one on the hydel power plant and one thermal plant can able to supply the load. So here, for the understanding purpose, we are just assuming that one hydel power plant and one thermal power plant is able to satisfy the load. So in order to make the scheduling, we have to make some assumptions. We have to make some assumptions before going to scheduling of our things. And first and the foremost thing is the PGHK. What is meant by PGHK? The hydel generation. The power developed at the hydel generation, that will be given by PGHK. So this is the first assumption that we have to make. Okay, PGHK is nothing but the power generated using the hydel. PGHK should be more than it should be able to capable of handling the demand, the amount of demand. So that's why I have told that hydro plant has the capacity to supply the entire load by itself. So this is just assumption. We can't able to satisfy the entire load just by hydro power plants or just by the thermal power plants. We need both in coordination. But for the assumption, for the analysis purpose, we are just making an assumption that PGHK should be, so PGHK should be greater than or equals to PDK. That is, PGH is nothing but the hydel power generation. The power generation using the hydel at the kth interval, at the interval K. The same thing PD of K, PD raised to K. Nothing but the load, the demand, the power demand, the load demand at interval K. So K is always from 1 to N. N is the any number. So this is the first assumption. And the next assumption is the energy from hydro plant is not sufficient to meet the load all the time. What it means? The energy that we got from the hydro power plants is not alone able to satisfy the load. So which is always less than the demand. The energy that is generated by the hydro power plant is not sufficient to satisfy the load. So this is the one more assumption that we made, that will be given by sigma K is equals to 1 to N PGH raised to K, H raised to K. So H is the nothing but number of hours, total number of hours that the unit ran. So PGH is the power generated using the hydel, and H is the total number of hours. So which should be less than or equal to sigma K is equals to 1 to N, PD raised to K, H raised to K. This is the second assumption. First thing is power should be more than the demand, and here the energy should be less than the demand. And the next thing is the total hour, that is HK. The total hours should be equal to or less than, the total time interval. The total hours should be equal to or less than total time interval. Tmax is the total time interval. So that's what I have written here. So here we need to calculate the energy. So energy required from the steam plant. First calculate the energy, total amount of energy required from the thermal power plants, that is steam plant. So that will be given by the equations. E is equals to sigma k is equals to 1 to n pdk hk. So this is pd raised to k, and hk will be given by the energy that is developed in the total energy required, the total energy demand or the required, minus pghk hk. This is the energy generated by the hydel power plant, energy supplied by the hydro plant. So if you subtract demand minus energy supplied by the hydel, you will get energy supplied by the thermal. Because since from the starting I am repeated that only hydel or only thermal is not sufficient to balance the load. So that's why we are combining the hydel as well as the thermal to satisfy the demand. So the same thing is written here. Energy supplied by the thermal is equals to energy total demand minus energy supplied by the hydro plant. So here the steam plant is run for NT intervals. If the steam plant is run for NT intervals, that is NT is nothing but the total amount of time required, the total amount of time that's satisfied there. So that will be given by NT, and here E is equals to sigma k is equals to 1 to NT, because we required the total amount of energy, the total amount of power generated for NT intervals. N is the last number, any number. The T is the intervals. So at that since that interval, we need to calculate the energy. So E is equals to Pgt raised to k H raised to k. Here Gt, Pgt is the nothing but the thermal generation at k interval. So here we need to consider Pg raised to k, Pgh raised to k, Pgt raised to k, Pgth raised to k. So this equation is also a very important equation. Total energy is equals to the energy that is generated by the steam plant is equals to Gt sigma k is equal to 1 to NT. The sigma is using because there may be n number of units, and these n number of units may be ran for n number of times, n number of time intervals. So for that purpose, we are taking the summation. We are taking the summation. So that's why sigma is using here. So sigma k is equals to 1 to NT Pgt raised to k H raised to k. So that's why I have told that the total thermal energy by the thermal power plant is equals to thermal power into time. And that will be given by the same thing that I have explained already. The sigma k is equals to 1 to NT, sigma k is equals to 1 to N. Hk should be equal to or less than Tmax. Hk is the total hours which should be less than or equal to total amount of time interval. These are the assumptions that we need to keep in our mind to calculate the things. The first thing is, in the examination they may ask for about 5 to 6 marks. What are the assumptions that we are going to make in the scheduling of energy? So at that time you need to write all these 3 assumptions. And the next thing is the main motto of the power system and the main motto of the hydrothermal scheduling is minimization of the production cost. Minimization of the production cost. The problem is to minimize the thermal production cost. Thermal production cost will be given by Ft. T is the thermal, F is the production cost. We studied these things in our unit commitment and economic dispatch session. So at that time, Ft is the incremental production cost compared for thermal. I hope you people are getting the concepts. Ft is equals to same. This is the summation that we need the summation for E, total E. The same thing that I have derived here. E is equals to sigma k is equal 1 to nd pgtk hk. Here f of pgtk hk. Because the thermal power plants are for divided into n number of units and for n intervals. So that's why I am going to take for the total production cost of each and every units at each and every time periods. That's why taking summation here. So in order to calculate the production cost of entire control area of that particular thermal power plant, we need to summarize all the each and every production cost. So that's why I have written k is equal to 1 to nt f of pgt raised to k and h raised to k. But from this equation, the total production, the total energy minus the total power generated from the thermal power plant gives to 0. The same thing I have written here. Sigma, just using the above equation, I have taken the E inside. Because we need this equation to calculate the Lagrange's constants. So Pgt raised to h raised to k minus E is equals to 0. That is, the total energy E at the steam plant will be given by sigma k is equals to 1 to nt Pgt raised to k h raised to k. H is the total hours, Pgt is equals to the power generated by the thermal power plants. So we know that Lagrange's equations, by using the Lagrangian equations, the Lagrange's method, the L gives the Lagrangian. So L will be given by f of pgtk hk plus lambda of E minus pgtk hk. E minus, so this gives, to minimize the function, the main motto of the scheduling of energy is to minimize the production cost of thermal power plants. Minimize the production cost of each load. So that's why to minimize the function, we take the derivatives and equal to the 0 here. We are just taking the derivatives of Lagrangian equation. This is the Lagrangian equation that we got. L is equals to k is equals to 1 to sigma nt f of f is the production cost, f of pgtk h of k. This is the production cost of thermal power plants plus lambda into E minus k is to nt pgtk h. This is the Lagrangian constant. Lambda is the Lagrangian constant. So in the next session we are going to solve these problems based upon 3 methods: the discrete time interval, the lambda gamma method, and the penalty factor methods. So there you will get the advantage of the importance of lambda. So for time being, just consider here as the lambda is equals to the Lagrangian constant. Okay. So in order to minimize the function, we have to take the derivatives and equals to 0. We have to take the derivative of above Lagrangian equation and equals to 0. So dou L by dou T. So dou L by dou Pgt. Dou is the nothing but the first order differential equation. Dou we are using for first order differential equations. Dou L by dou Pgt raised to k is equals to df of Pgt raised to k by dPgtk minus lambda. The entire constant here, the constant is neglected for calculation of in the differentiation, the constants will be of 0. So that's why remove that, neglect that. The df of Pgt raised to k divided by dPgtk minus lambda, that equals to 0. So this is the Lagrangian constant. This Lagrangian constant will be given by lambda is equals to df of Pgt raised to k dPgt of k. So This is one more important formula. So first thing is E is equals to sigma k is equals to 1 to nt pgtk hk, and lambda is equals to df of pgtk dpgtk. So this is the one more formula that we derived. We derived for lambda, that is Lagrangian constant. So in the steam plant, what happens? The steam plant must run at a constant incremental cost. Always remember the steam plants or the thermal power plants that we got. So these should be run at minimum production cost. That is that constant incremental cost. Minimum production cost and constant incremental cost. So like that they have to run always. So the entire period during which it is on, that is the period of time the unit is running. So at up to this time, until that time, the thermal power plants should be able to run at minimum fuel cost and constant incremental cost. These are the two costs that we need to consider while running and maintaining the thermal power plants. So this is about the Lagrangian constant, lambda. And the next thing, if PGT star, the PGT star is nothing but the thermal power at this cost. At this cost is nothing but at this cost. This is the cost at lambda. Lambda is the Lagrangian constant, the function at minimum fuel cost. So at this cost, if the thermal power plant is running, then that is given by PGT star. The PGT star is the power generated by the thermal power plant at minimum fuel cost and constant incremental cost. That is the star mark here. Okay, fine. And then a quadratic equation for the power generated. Here we are going to consider a quadratic equation for expressing the production cost. For expressing the production cost at PGT star. So that will be given based upon an quadratic equation. So f of PGT is equals to a plus b PGT plus c plus PGT square. I hope this equation will be similar to our production cost, incremental fuel cost, not production cost, incremental fuel cost F, that we derived while discussing the economic dispatch in the unit commitment problems. F is equals to a plus b PG plus c plus c PG square. The same thing is, instead of G, here we are using GT. Then FT is equals to F of PGT star into TT. PGT star is the power generated at minimum fuel cost. So just substitute the PGT here. Just substitute PGT here. A plus P PGT square, sorry, star plus C PGT star square. And TT. TT is the total time period at which the thermal power plant is running. TT. So here PGT star will be given by square root of A by C. Here A and C are the fuel constants. Fuel constants. So this formula is required while solving the problem. So keep remember this. The formulas that I have written in the blocks. These are very much important for solving the problems. E is equals to PGTK HK, and the lambda is equals to differentiation of PGTK by dPGT, and PGT star is equals to root of A by C. So this is about the cost. And next thing is, the thermal unit must be operated at minimize to total cost. While discussing the constraints, we told that we have to minimize the thermal production cost, because there are n regions are there, n number of regions are there. The main thing is environmental issues and maintenance cost. Maintenance cost and environmental issues for these are some examples, so that the thermal unit must be operated to minimize the total cost, and the time for which the thermal plant must be run depends upon the hydro energy available. That is, we know that the water is redundant in nature, so it's not available at all the seasons. So in order to generate the hydel power, the continuous flow of water availability and the storage is required. So if the reservoirs are there, we can store the water and generate the power. Sometimes if the reservoirs is not only the reservoirs are constructed for not only to produce the energy, but also for irrigation purpose, and also the drinking purpose, and also for usage of commercial factories, industries. So by keeping all these things in mind, the thermal plant must be able to run till the with the balancing of hydro energy. So like that, the scheduling will be made. Our main aim is to generate electrical energy by hydel power plants. So when we are unable to match the load, we go for thermal power plants, but the thermal plants are not switched off entirely. They must be satisfy the base load. So with the help of the base load, they increase the production. So like that, the thermal power unit must be operated to minimize the cost, thermal cost, and these must be run till it matches with the hydrogen energy. Sorry, not hydrogen, the hydel power plants. So the nomenclature that we discussed yesterday. So the main thing, the hydrothermal scheduling will be solved by the algorithms. The algorithms are scheduling based on energy, and short range scheduling, long range scheduling that we discussed yesterday. Now, long range scheduling and short range scheduling. So that will be of lambda gamma methods, iterations, and discrete time intervals and penalty factors that we will discuss one by one. And the first thing is discrete time interval. So discrete time interval. The time interval will be divided in discrete wise, not continuous. That is in discrete wise. So at the shorter durations, discrete is nothing but the short durations. That is delta t. That will be calculated by using integrations. By making use of integrations, we can minimize the continuous function into discrete function. That we studied in our signals and system. How to make the continuous functions into discrete functions. That signal processing and signals and system. So that there we know. So here, apart from that, we need to analyze for discrete time intervals. Discrete time interval method. So here a figure is drawn. So this figure gives balancing the coordination between the thermal power plants and hydel power plants. So here F is the cost by the generation of thermal, and Q is the cost by the generation of input and output. Q is the water discharge that I told now. Q naught, Q in. See here, Q naught, Q in. Q in is the water inflow, Q naught is the water discharge. So from the hydel, we in charge and discharge the water. And here PGH is the hydel power generation, hydel power, and PGT is the thermal power. So by making use of, by coordinating, by synchronizing PGT and PGH, we get PZ, total power generation, to satisfy the load. And the main problem here is to determine the water discharge. So in order to calculate the discrete time, we should know the amount of water discharge. But here we should, the problem is we have to determine the water discharge at each time interval. At each time interval. So that is the one problem. What is it? The water discharge at each time interval. That we need to solve here by using discrete time interval. That is the first problem. The second problem is to minimize the cost. Minimize the cost of thermal generation. And the third is to meet the operating constants of hydro plant. So these are the three problems that we need to solve using the discrete time interval method. So what are those? First thing is we have to minimize the thermal power cost. We have to calculate the water discharge at each interval, and we have to satisfy the load. We have to meet the operating constants of hydro plants. So this is the aim of our work, aim of our coming work, that is discrete time interval method. So for that we have to make some mathematical formulations. So the main mathematical formulation are the rate of water discharge, to minimize the cost. The main aim is to minimize the cost. So in order to calculate the in order to minimize the cost, we have to calculate the water discharge. So that will be given by using integrations. So that is the beauty of integration. So why we keep on ask why the integration and differentiations are required in our day-to-day life. Why the trigonometry is required? So the trigonometry is required to calculate the continuous into discrete. So here minimize the thermal cost, that is FT. Minimize the FT by using the integration equation, that is f of Pgt dt, f dash of Pgt dt from 0 to Tmax. So you know Tmax is total time interval. So in the total time interval we have to calculate the water discharge to minimize the thermal production cost, that is FT. FT will be calculated by 0 to Tmax. F of Pgt is power generated by the thermal plants, the cost, total cost, total time period of operation. So by using this equation, we are going to minimize the production cost. So there are some operational constants are there. So what are the different operation constants? The first constant, there are three constants are there. The first constant is the power balance. We have to balance the power. So what is meant by power? The generation power is equals to total load plus losses. So normally the generated power is equals to total load plus losses. So here generated power is equals to PGT-T and PGH-T. PGT-T and PGH-T. The total demand is PD and losses is P loss. Same thing is I have written here. PGT-T plus PGH is equals to P loss plus PD. Just I have taken here, that's why negative. So this is the first constant. The first constant is the power has to be balanced with the demand, with losses. That is the first constant. And the second constant is the water availability, the total water availability. So that will be given by S of Tmax minus S of 0 minus. So this is the this part will be given by the total amount of water is fed into the plant for 0 to Tmax. Tmax is the total time hour, total time interval. So in that Tmax, how much amount of water is flown in and how much amount of water is flown out, that is Q naught. So for constants, the water availability, ST max minus S naught. S is the storage, total amount of water stored till the Tmax minus the total amount of water available at the beginning minus the total amount of water is flown in plus the flown out. So this is the total storage will be given by amount of water flown in and amount of flown out. ಈಗ ಒಂದು ರಿಸರ್ವಾಯರ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ವಾಟರ್ ಸ್ಟೋರ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಇಟ್ಟಿರ್ತೀವಿ. ಸೊ ಆ ವಾಟರ್ ಸ್ಟೋರ್ ಮಾಡಿರೋದು ಹೇಗೆ ಕ್ಯಾಲ್ಕುಲೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ? ಸಿಂಪಲ್. How much amount of water, how much is fed into our dam, flown into our dam, how much amount of water is flown out. So if you add flow in, flow out, you will get total amount of water stored. Same thing I have written here. St max minus S naught is the initial water. If there is some water available at the initial, ಮೊದಲೇ ಏನಾದರೂ ವಾಟರ್ ಸ್ಟೋರೇಜ್ ಇತ್ತು ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ that will be given by S of 0. The same thing. So St max is the storage time at the end of the period, total time period. And Q naught, S naught is the beginning period. Beginning period ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಎಷ್ಟು ವಾಟರ್ ಅವೈಲೇಬಲ್ ಇದೆ ಅಷ್ಟು. And the third constant is hydropower generated. That is how much amount of power is generated, PGH of T. That will be given by S of T minus Q naught of T. F of S of T minus, comma Q naught of T. So here this means the total power generated is equals to the total amount of water flown and the total amount of water that is utilized. So yesterday the first equation I have shown that the power PGH, the power generated, is equals to head plus flow, into flow into acceleration due to gravity. Nothing but efficiency P rho G and H. Q rho GH into efficiency. So this was the formula that we got for the total amount of power generated. So like that, PGH of T is equals to F of S of T and Q naught of T. So this is about the constants. The next thing is discretization. And dependent variables. We have to discretize the equations and what are the dependent variables are there, and the Lagrangian function. So if you use that Lagrangian function, we will solve the total 3 problems. So total 3 problems. What are those problems? We have to minimize the cost, we have to minimize the thermal production availability, and we have to balance the load. So with the help of this, we can solve these problems. So that we will discuss in the next session. So till now it's enough. So what we discussed till now, we discussed about the scheduling of energy, the different constants, the different problems that what we need to solve, and the nomenclature. And the first method is discrete time interval method. So what is mean by discrete time interval method? What are the different operating constants are there? So that we studied today, and the remaining thing we will discuss in the next session.